I'm here talking with Dr. Pardis Minuchehr, who's a professor of Persian Studies here at George Washington University. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you.
So first, I'd just like to ask about the location of the Persian language. Where is Persian spoken?
Today Persian is predominantly spoken in Iran, in modern-day Iran, and the other variants of Persian is spoken in Afghanistan and Tajikistan. So something around over 10 million people speak this language or have this language as their official language. Now, in Iran proper, there are other languages spoken as well, so there are other ethnic groups and ethnic minorities that exist and speak other languages, but the official language of the country is Persian.
So there are different dialects of the Persian language?
There are different dialects, there are different variants, but there are also other languages, like there are Turkic languages, there are, other dialects that are sometimes considered a different language, for instance, Baluchi or Kurdish, or
so a real mix of
yes,
languages.
Absolutely, yes, it's a real mix.
What advice would you give to somebody who's interested in learning Persian? Are there resources in DC where people can go to get a start?
Of course, yes. We teach Persian here at George Washington University, and there are also Persian classes at Georgetown University and American University, and then you have the Middle East Institute, where you can start taking classes if you're not a college graduate or a college student. Then I'm sure there are also language institutes where you can take private lessons and tutorial opportunities as well.
Yeah. So lots of places to get started. So do you have any favorite books or films or music in Persian that you enjoy?
Of course. It depends what kind of books you're talking about. Persian is a rich language with a rich culture, with a rich civilization. So it is something about over 1,000 years. The modern Persian language is over 1,000 years old, and Persian civilization is thousands and thousands of years old. It's probably something over 3,000 years old. So as a result of this, there are many different genres and many different books and artistic output out there that you can use and you can enjoy. For instance, we have Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi's poetry, 13th century a poet who wrote in Persian, and his books have been translated into English and are bestsellers in America. So if you want to look up Rumi, that's one of the Persian poets that you may enjoy if you're interested in mystical poetry. And then the 14th century Persian poet Hafiz is another one, and his poetry has been translated. I just purchased actually a copy of the 10th century Persian poet Shahname's work translated into English by Dick Davis. So Shahnameh, which is the Book of Kings, it is the history of Iran that is retold in the 10th century by this very famous Persian poet Abul Qasim Ferdowsi, and that is something that maybe you want to also look up. And then we have some of Nizami's works have been translated into English. For instance, the Seven Beauties or the half Peker, and or Layli and Majnun, which is the source book for Romeo and Juliet. A lot of people believe that this is Layli and Majnun is the source for Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So with when you're talking about translations of works in one language to another, so we have a lot of language speakers mingling now in a really globalized world. Have you found that the Persian language is being influenced by English today?
Of course, yes. The English is a dominant language all over the world. Is a global language, and I think that most languages have been affected by the English language. For instance, words like computer and email, and the information, the cyber
technology terms.
Right,
yeah.
those technical terms are definitely coming from English, even though the Persians have tried to Persianize those words, and for computer, for instance, they have come up with the name Rayane, but still computer is used. So if you want to go, you go to a house in Tehran and somebody wants to ask for a computer, they say کامپیوترتو بیار ایمیلمو چک کنم, which means bring your computer so I can check my email. You already understood that without knowing the Persian language. And then the word try, let me try this. Try is frequently used. So there's, of course, there is a lot of and these days there's also a lot of broadcasting from Iranian Americans into Iran. So a lot of people pick up a lot of the terms that are used by Iranian Americans in Los Angeles or in DC, and they pick up the accents, and so there's definitely that kind of interaction.
Yeah. Of course, we have languages going the other way. We have a lot of Persian loanwords that English has taken on. Could you talk a little bit about the pieces of Persian we might be using every day?
Sure. There are many Persian words in English that maybe we don't know about them. For instance, the word haki. You may want to go to the store and buy a haki pants or trousers, and what does that mean? It means, and why do we write it with a KH? Khak, because that's from the hawk, which in Persian it means earth. So haki is the color of earth. It is the earth color, which is sort of brownish. It's a haki color. It has turned into a color in English, right? Or another color in flower is lilac, right? That is from the Persian Nil, which is Nil is blue, and it has turned into lil. So lily or lilac, they're all loan words from the Persian language. And then you have the word for peach, for instance. Peach, the fruit peach, comes from Persish or Perse, which is Persian, right? Greek, that's the way to say Persian. So in German, for instance, if you've taken German, in German they call it Persisch, which is from the Persisch. So peach is actually the Persian fruit, right? The Persisch is the Persian fruit. Or you have mummy, the mummies, right? So that comes from the word mum, which is from the Persian word for wax. It's mummy. And then musk, the scent, it comes from Persian mushk, or musk. The delicious pistachio comes from peste, peste in Persian, or shawl, the shawl that you put on yourself, or divan, a divan. Okay, it comes from the Persian divan, which is both a collection of poetry and sort of a porch-like thing that you have in front of your house, which is a divan. Those are only some of them, but there's a whole list of Persian loanwords into English that I'm sure you can look up.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Persian is all around.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about Persian language is that Persian language, maybe not many people realize that and recognize that Persian language has been a lingua franca language for centuries in the Middle East and up to China. So there was a lot of, it has been the language of trade, the language of culture, the language of civilization, from the gates of Bosphorus, Straits of Bosphorus, to China, all the way to, Western China. There has always been this interaction, so there has been a lot of loanwords and a lot of cultural contact and cultural borrowings from one another. So it's hard nowadays to say what is Persian and what is not, because there has always been these intermingling all around.
Well, Dr. Minuchehr, thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.